if I can do ASMR, y'all. Y'all ever listen to that? You think I can do ASMR? I don't.
Yes, okay, great. And now what we're doing is trying out ASMR. And we're very close to the camera. You can see my edges. I do not have any edge control on and probably need a little moisturizer. And yeah, this is exactly what we're doing. But I'm not sure if this is the right. What's that? What? Oh, I'm being told you're not supposed to be this close into the camera when you're doing ASMR. Just close to the mic, not the camera. Got it.
Just gonna check you. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Hi there, I'm Doc.
I'm Doc, so don't worry about it. I'm very professional, so just I'm gonna check you. Just one sec. Very good. Yes, everything sounds good. Delicious. It's the wrong terminology for a doctor, isn't it? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to take a species specimen from we're going to skip that part. What we're going to do now is we're going to just take a look inside of your ears to see if there's any conjunctivitis. Awesome. Well, there's none of whatever I just said in there, so that's good. We got that going for us. Okay. And let's see what else we're gonna. Apparently we're gonna do your makeup now because this is what you do at the doctor's, and that's what was in my doctor bag. So I'm not sure. And now, since you've done such a great job, we're at the end of your doctor's visit, and I'm just making you a little something here with my Play-Doh. I'm sure you can guess what it is. It has fins. Some people use their fishing pole to get it out of the water. Scales. It has scales on it. And gills. What do you think I'm talking about? I'm talking about talking about a phone. So, talking about a phone. So long, farewell to you, my friend. Goodbye. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Walk Live, y'all. I'm so excited to see y'all. Where y'all been? Okay, before I get too excited, listen. For all y'all who've been rocking with me since day one, listen. You know I love you so much. You know I appreciate you. You know I appreciate. And for all of you who are new, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you like what you hear and what you see. And if so, please hit that like button. And you know what? Guess what? I post every week on Tuesday. So listen, go ahead and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss an upload, okay? I don't want you to miss that. I don't want it to be devastating for your life, please. My name is Sakima, and what do I post on my channel? On this channel, I post nuggets, different lessons that God has given me throughout my journey, throughout my walk with Him. And these are lessons that have helped me chip away at some of the barriers that have been in my path. And my hope is that they will help you as well. Okay, that's what we're trying to do here because we love each other, because we're family. We're family. Okay, let's get to the content. Okay, So I know you saw the title, Back to the Basics. Y'all, if y'all see me looking down, over, up, down, up, side, across, middle, I'm looking at my notes. For all of you who've been watching me, you know I'm looking at my notes if I'm looking around the world, okay? So I know you saw the title, Back to the Basics. Back to the back to the basics. Yeah, back to the basics. How do I know I'm drifting? This is something that's very important, y'all. We have really got to recognize this. I can't express how crucial it is for us to pick up on those things and notice those things about ourselves. And it was my son about to bust in on me like that. I'm sorry. He always interrupts me. My son just acts like he doesn't want me to live my life. So, yes, back to the basics. How do I know when I'm drifting? Okay, so let me explain the back to the basics part. So, you guys, when we feel ourselves drifting, and I'll give you some signs of drifting, but when we feel ourselves drifting, it is important that we go back to the basics. All of us had a point, and some of us may still be there, where we were in the new baby stages of our relationship with Christ, and we would read our Bibles. We would be so inquisitive. We would pray. We would listen to uplifting music. We would do all kinds of things, all kinds of things. So we were so excited, just like any new relationship. We're so excited. We wanted to participate in all things us, all things God and me, you know? And then we get on into it some and we start trying to create our own way, and we kind of get a little ahead of God sometimes, and or we veer off and go our separate way, go a different direction than he's telling us to go, and we just start drifting a bit. And that's something that happens. It's natural, it's normal, we're human. It happens. But when we see ourselves doing that, it's important that we go back to the basics. We go back to what we did in the beginning, what worked in the beginning, what was it that kept us on fire in the beginning. And that was our close time with God, our connection, our intimate time, us making sure that we were spending that time with Him, giving Him that time, worshiping, praying, praising, just doing things to just make sure that He is in our everyday life. He's right there at the forefront. It doesn't mean that you walk around every moment of the day just like in full on like prayer mode, but it doesn't mean that you acknowledge Him throughout the day. You know that He's there. You want Him to know that you're inviting Him in, that you're looking for Him, and that He is most important in your life, and that you need Him for this journey. And he is your I won't even say sidekick. He is your leader, but of course also, yes, He is alongside you, bearing that yoke with you, that burden with you. And so that's what you did in the beginning. And we get so busy and we get so caught up, and so many things are happening, and sometimes we can even find ourselves functioning, operating in ministry or in things of God, and somehow we're like, how do we get here? I feel so distant from God, although I know I'm doing things in the ministry. Like, what's going on? Shouldn't I feel closer now that I'm, kind of working for you, God? Like, but no, that is not what it's about. It is about that relationship you have when you go home, that intimate time, that quiet time that you have with Him, that sacred time where you are genuinely just trying to get to know Him, genuinely just trying to engage with Him, just trying to show that you love Him and that you honor Him, and that you want this real thing. You want the real. You don't want what's for show. You don't want to just be able to pray good. You don't want to just be able to sing good, worship good, just appear, just shout good. You don't want to put on. You want to, when you go home, to have that real thing. That's how you were. And that's what we've got to get back to. We've got to go back to that when we feel ourselves drifting. And how do we know when we are drifting? That is so important. I'm going to give you some things that will let you know when you may be drifting. Now, listen, I only give you what I know, what I have experienced, okay? The things I give you are lessons that God, remember I said, they're lessons that God has given me along my journey, okay? So I'm giving you what I know. It may be different for you. You may experience more things that are on this list and than more things than those that are on this list. You may experience things um, that don't have anything to do with what's on this list. You might look at this, you might hear what I say and be like, "Oh, I don't really experience that," and that's okay. The main thing is to make you aware and awaken your awareness um, as far as you starting to drift, and that is the idea here. We want to be more alert so that we can be proactive about preventing it, and we can make sure we set ourselves up. We have a game plan for if it starts to happen, we need to stop it. We need to nip it in the bud, okay? All right, so let's get into it. One of the things that I notice when I am drifting is my short fuse. You guys, oh, Jesus. Okay, so it can happen with my family, people at work, just anywhere. My short fuse, okay? Now, normally I'm someone who is pretty cool, chill, laid back, but sometimes I get where, like, get a little snappy. It's like, okay, he's getting on my nerves. Okay, you get on my nerves. And it can not be something that's just like, just warrants all of that. But I get to that point where it's just like, I don't know. It's not you, it's me. Like, I'm just, for some reason, I just can't today. I'm just, got my short fuse. Okay, so you got to excuse me. All right. Next thing, seeking validation or attention. Now, y'all, whenever we're drifting, so remember, we get all the things that we need from God, okay? And I'll talk about that more at the end, but when you're not getting that, you start to seek those things. You start to seek those things that you feel like you're lacking. And when you are wanting the validation or wanting the attention, then that should be an indicator that I might be lacking something. I might be drifting. The things that I was getting from God and being letting God fill me with, I seem to be lacking in some of those areas. And now here I am. I feel like I'm sort of seeking that out in people, seeking that validation from those who really, most of them don't even know me like that, or some of them I'm seeking the validation from. Um, I've already had situations with them where I'm like, okay, this person doesn't know me. They don't have my best interest at heart. And, I've severed that tie. No. Mm-mm. And now here you are again, seeking the validation from that person. We drifted, babe. Okay, next thing is low energy and low desire to go get them. Some of you are naturally go getters. You're naturally like, yes, I'm like always moving, always going to do stuff, always getting up, always working, always grinding. And then suddenly you have this like low energy, like, I really don't feel like doing anything. I'm having trouble motivating myself to get up and do the slightest things, or to get up and do the things that I'm normally like raring to do. Like, I just not feeling it. Like, that right there, that's another indicator. The next one, many doubts flow. So everyone has doubts. Everyone has doubts here and there. Listen, everyone has doubts. But you. You know along this journey you have been someone that has been hopeful for the most part. If you start getting a little down or doubting, you usually can bounce back pretty well. But when you start drifting, it feels like those doubts are just flowing, just one after the other. And you just can't seem to get a hold of them. It's just like, things start to look a bit more grim. It's like you're worrying about things you don't normally worry about. You're harping on things you don't normally harp on. And, or either maybe you're a worrier already and it's just feeling a bit heavier right now. We're drifting. You got to pay attention to when you're feeling that way. And that segues into, that's a good segue into my next one, which is discontentment. Discontentment rises up. You can't be satisfied. Normally, like I said, you can do something. You could go and maybe take a walk outside or do something that you normally enjoy doing, and you may be able to bounce back from doubting and those low thoughts. But in this season, it feels like I just can't be satisfied. If I look at the the house, and I'm like, oh, it's dirty. Okay, well, no, I was gonna clean. I'm gonna clean it in a minute. Oh man, in a minute. That's just, I really don't feel like it, and I don't never feel like it. I don't know. I have that problem sometimes. Oh man, like your thoughts are spiraling. It's getting lower and lower. Oh, my friend said she was gonna come and help me clean my house today. I know she has a lot to do. Oh my gosh, like I don't know. It just still is never gonna get clean like I want it to though. It's really this place is too small. That's what it is. It's my entire life. I need to find another place, but how am I ever gonna do that? Like y'all know how. Y'all know how I be. And so there I had a few thoughts of hope in there where there could be some resolution to the issue I was facing, but it still kept going back to this low place. Like, what is wrong? I just can't be satisfied. I'm discontent. I just can't get up from this place. A sign of drifting. I'm going to read you what I had right under that one, right under discontentment. I said, discontentment rises up, can't be satisfied. Nothing is enough. Every time you look at life, instead of seeing potential, you see something is so, so wrong. And I, I don't mean those times where you look at something, okay, that's not good, that's not good. Everybody has to make those decisions in your life. But I mean, when it seems to be just flowing one right after another, like, oh man, it's just bad, bad, bad. And you know that normally this is something, okay, I can find some good in. It's not all bad. But you're still finding the bad in those things. Um, Even crying when you don't know why. I think that was part of it. That's part of that discontentment. You're not exactly sure what all is wrong. It just feels like everything is wrong. It just feels like it's a heavy thing. It's a heavy burden. And that's when you know that you are drifting. Okay. The enemy is already doing what he's going to do every day to try to reach us, to try to knock us off, to try to oppress us. And when you begin to feel that weight more than usual, that oppressive weight more than usual, because of course he is all for condemnation. When you start to feel that heaviness, then you know, okay, I must be drifting. I must be drifting. God is the one that lightens our load. What did he say? I'm trying to remember. Um, Take my yoke upon you. Um, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Yeah. That's just telling us we should not feel that heaviness all the time. All right, the next one, paranoia. Paranoia, Jesus. Whenever Adam and Eve were in the garden and they sinned, they ate of the tree that they were not supposed to eat of. They immediately were awakened. They knew that they were naked, and they tried to sew some leaves together to cover themselves, and they were hiding and all of that. Um, that's the way it feels whenever you're drifting. You no longer feel the covering that you felt. Initially, they didn't feel any shame. That's what the Bible said. They didn't feel any shame. They were like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. And then suddenly you start to feel not good. Like, you start to feel like uncovered, like vulnerable. Like, that should let you know. Just like, yeah, that's the best analogy there is. If you were covered up and wearing clothes and walking regularly outside, having a good time, as opposed to if you were, I'll do it like this. For those of you who normally dress pretty well, pretty covered, have you ever worn something and it was just a little too short or a little too revealing or a little too tight and you'd be like pulling at it the whole time? So that's how we know we've stepped outside of that boundary. We stepped outside of that covering. We're a little uncovered. We're a little vulnerable. And it's the same thing when we're drifting. When we're under his covering, then we feel more safe, more covered, less vulnerable. We have that confidence in him that he has us. But then when we start to drift, we start to feel uncovered. We start to feel vulnerable. And we start to feel very paranoid. What's happening around me? What's going on? What are they saying about me? Do they like me? I wonder if they probably, I don't know, they're thinking about firing me. I don't know. I don't, like, y'all, the enemy will play those games with you. Okay, that's how we know we are drifting and we need to get back. Okay, because our confidence is within God. Okay. Next one is anxiety. So when I think about anxiety, I think about feeling a lack of control, a lack of having things together, having a grip on the things that I need to have a grip on. I just feel like so anxious, so nervous, and this right here, this is, like I said, that the confidence that we have is in God, and we know that He is the one who orders our steps. He's the one who guides us. And so when we are drifting away from Him, then we start to feel like the ground beneath us is not stable. We start to worry about things we were normally not worried about, or normally pretty confident that God was working in that area. Then it starts to just weigh on us like, oh my God, like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, you know? And that's how we know that, okay, something's wrong here. I'm getting out of I'm getting out of his bosom. I'm further away now. I need to get closer. I need to get back in there, because I know for a fact I did not feel this way when I was spending more time with him, when I was praying, when we were just having that intimate time each day. Okay, here's the big one, y'all. Lowered inhibitions and boundaries. Y'all, listen. You know that along this journey, we've talked about this, that there are going to be boundaries that you have to set, things that you have to do to make sure that you're not falling back into the ways that you came from, those areas that kept you in recovery in your life, things that you were participating in that you knew that you needed to cut off and let go. Well, when you start to drift, your inhibitions are lowered and those boundaries are lowered, and you begin to drift over into those things that you were before, seeking that comfort, seeking that covering, seeking the warmth that you felt when you were in God's bosom. And we seek it from all the wrong things. Anything that will bring that comfort, that familiarity, or that peace in our lives, we seek it out. And anything that can bring that feel good. And so sometimes that means going backwards. Sometimes that means revisiting those boundaries and like kind of just looking over and tipping over a little bit. And that's what happens when we start to drift. We start to look for that comfort again, that peace again. And we're just going the wrong way looking for it though. So really think about that. Those things you said no to, those things you said, I'm not going to do this. When you start to feel so tempted by those things again, when you start to really think about doing those things again or revisiting those things or trying it again, okay, I'm drifting. I'm drifting. Let me get back. Let me get back. All right, next. You feel like life is swallowing you. You feel overwhelmed, even by the blessings. All of this goes hand in hand, really. So, all of the things that you've been blessed with, it may be a new job, new car, all of it. Instead of all of it feeling so wonderful, it all feels like, oh man, it's just another responsibility, another thing to take care of, another thing to handle, another thing to juggle. Everything just feels like it's just too much. Like you just feel like you need to take a step back, like multiple times a day. Like, oh my God, Lord. Okay. Like, woosah 50 times a day. Like, when it feels a bit different than what it normally feels. Everybody gets to this point, and so don't worry about this. But right now, what we're doing is becoming more aware of when that is excessive, when it's turned up a bit. Like, okay, everything is 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 closing in on me, and I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble. And the last one, treatment towards others is of low quality. Treatment towards others is of low quality. Whenever you don't have yourself together, it's hard to give. It's hard to have output when that self is not together. When your stuff is not together here, it's hard to dig up something great or patient or loving out of yourself when everything feels like it's all over the place, and you feel like there is a deficit within you, like you need someone to fill you up. And so it's hard to give that. And so I talked about that a little whenever I said that your fuse is short. Same type of thing here. You start noticing that the way that you treat others is not like it used to be. It's not up to par. And that is something that we really have to pay attention to. Okay, listen, y'all. So I'm going to read the end part of what I wrote. So God is the one who teaches us how to profit. This means he gives us what we need to function. We don't just have this thing. We have to be given this thing. There are too many other influences to affect how we function. Even if you think you are good, you need help maintaining. It's who we are. It's not strange. We were born with needs, but provision for those needs were made before we were ever even conceived. We have a God who tells us to lean on him. And I want to read you the scripture. I know I've said God teaches us how to profit. I know that's sounds strange. I'm going to read you the New Living Translation and the English Standard Version. This is Isaiah 48:17. This is what the Lord says, your Redeemer. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Okay. The Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord your God who teaches you what is good for you and leads you along the paths you should follow. That was the New Living Translation. I'm going to read you the English Standard Version. Thus says the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord your God who teaches you to profit, who leads you in the way you should go. Y'all, he's trying to tell us that we have to stay near to him. We have to stay near to him. Everything that we need is found in him. It's the whole concept of being connected to the vine. If we're not connected to the vine, then we begin to wither. That is where all of our nutrients comes from. That is where everything that we need comes from. And it is going to be very evident. Our bodies are going to show when we are no longer connected or when we're drifting, because we're going to start feeling like we're missing those things, and we're going to start grabbing for it everywhere. Those plants that, and many flowers and plants do this. You may set it in the window and it may start to bloom, but it may start to turn in the direction where the sun is, because it knows where it gets that nutrients. And that's what we need to do. And a lot of times people do this whenever they have plants that are withering or seem to be dying. They'll set it in a window where there's plenty of sun and give it some good water, and eventually it will start to bloom again and turn towards the sun. You guys, we've got to remember when it's time for us to turn back towards the sun. God, we need God. We need everything that he has for us. And when we are not connected, when we are not there close by his side in his bosom, then we start to display evidence that we have drifted. And I want us to start paying attention to ourselves, how we function. When you're off, it's not just for no reason. It's not just happening out of nowhere. You guys, we've got to pay attention. We've got to look at ourselves and see, okay, what am I doing wrong? What could I be doing better here? Have I gotten away? Am I just now doing things related to the ministry, related to Christ, but not really working on that relationship, that personal relationship with him? Like, we need that. We can't be apart from it. And no, so you can't just work in ministry and not have your own relationship with God. You're still going to feel empty. You're still going to feel empty. You're still going to feel like you're missing something. You're still going to be looking for something. You're going to feel unsettled, uneasy, anxious. You're going to feel all of those things. And so I just wanted us to be aware of drifting. When we're drifting, we want to catch it before it gets out of control and we start to just spiral. Okay? We can be filled again. But we get connected to the vine again, and he teaches us which way. He shows us the way we should go. He teaches how to profit, meaning he teaches us how to get what we need from life. Okay? So when we feel like we have that deficit, then we need to get in his bosom so that he can teach us again how to profit, which way we should go, how we can get back to a place where we are thriving and we're healthy. It's time to turn back to the sun. So let's get back to the basics, okay? And let's recognize when we're drifting. Y'all, listen, my walk with God has been a journey. Okay, it has been a journey, and it's one that I feel that I am led and I am meant to share with you guys. And I love it every week when you join me, and I'm so grateful and so thankful. And I love hearing your testimony, so please leave them down in the comments, you guys. I want to hear them. I will respond. Love you so much, and I thank you for joining me once again on the walk live.